From the women to the men when it comes to 4x200 metres. And haven't this crowd seen some drama, particularly in the last hour or so. It's absolutely thrilling, and I hope you're enjoying it wherever you're joining us from around the world. Kenya, the first of the finalists in the 4x2. Odhiambo, Makamba, Waweru and Kisoyan. China have just had a second place. What can the men do? Yu Chu, Wen Yi, Ji and Junhong. And they worked on that one. Lane 7 will be the German quartet of Huke, Domagala, Menga and Irva. South Africa for lane 6, a talented quartet of Magakwe, Van Wyk, who's already celebrated tonight, Dambili and Simbini. Surely they will be to be reckoned with, if they get the baton changes right, that is. Bahamas, Regius, Newbold, Anthony Adderley and Rico Moultrie. Here's the United States. Chris Belcher, Bryce Robinson, Vernon Norwood, accomplished 400-metre runner, and Ramonte McLean. The Japanese with their own special welcome. Miyamoto, Nagata, Tamura and Fujimitsu. And the inside lane is lane 2. It's Nigeria with Arawolo, Adagoki, Itsakiri and Jakpa. So Jakpa's switched from lead leg to anchor leg from the heats.
Yeah, there's been a few changes, which is understandable. I mean, the Japanese team obviously had to make a big change because they had an injury, but, you know, if it's anything to go by, watching, I'm just hoping in the call room that they were able to watch the female 4x200 and see how important those changeovers are. And maybe they chatted amongst each other and made some quick adjustments, because they would have practiced these changes, but it's one thing to do it in training, but it's another to do it in the fullness of a race when you're tired at the back end of the 200 metres. So that's one of the things that they'll be wanting to hopefully keep a bit safer than what the women did, and make sure that the hands are in the position ready to be put out when the athlete's in the right spot, and it's a safe change and it's a smooth change and there's no stopping of that baton transition.
Well, as we wait to see this men's final, just word is reaching us that the US women's team have been disqualified from that final lineup in the 4x2 for a lane infringement during a baton exchange. So a change outside the zone. So the Americans, who had finished in third place, will be disqualified. So a second disqualification of the night for them.
And that's another thing that they want to check, because we were saying earlier, the 4x2 run in lanes is rarely done in track and field around the world. When a 4x200 is done, the third leg runner often crosses over.
And do you know what? That means that the Jamaicans are elevated to third place, despite what was obviously a very difficult race for them in the end. And they came away with a third. Amazing. So that was the women's race, which preceded this one, which is our next final on the track here in Yokohama. And it's the men's 4x200 metres relay. The Kenyans with Odhiambo on the lead leg. China will put their hopes and the baton in the hands of Mo Yuqi, while Germany have Maurice Huka on the lead leg for them. South Africa with Simon Magakwe. Interested to see how they get on in this race. I think they could be a threat. Rezius for the Bahamas to get them underway. Chris Belcher for the US. I almost didn't have to say anything for the Japanese athlete, Daisuke Miyamoto. The roar there for him. Emmanuel Arawolo of Nigeria is on the inside in lane 2.
In case you missed that, Tony Belcher was just letting you know from the United States that he's got his sleeve. Looking forward to seeing how Simbini runs in the last leg for South Africa, because he looked brilliant closing in the 4x100 yesterday.
So Nigeria, Japan, the USA, Bahamas, South Africa, Germany, China, Kenya. 8 finalists going for glory in the 4x200 meters relay final for men.
Set.
Chris Belcher with the baton in the hand for the US in lane 4. Wanting to put some early pressure on the Bahamas. Frisius is on their opening leg. They'll come round onto that bend, and this will be the first exchange. And watch out to see just how clean they can be, and also how well the Americans can transfer. The Japanese are a little bit scruffy on that one.
Bahamas have dropped the baton.
Bahamas have dropped but are still in the race, which they can do, of course, but they've got a long way to come back now. The Kenyans on the outside in lane 9. See the Chinese and the Germans working very hard as well. We go into the next exchange. This is the 3rd leg, and the South Africans hand it over to Dambili. And they'll head round into that back straight, and there'll be just one more handover to go. The US have Vernon Norwood working hard in the blue vest on the right of the screen. South Africa are looking good as well. The key handover coming up now. The Americans off and moving. Left of the lane to the right of the lane. And the USA with Ramonte McLean coming round into home straight. But look at Akini Sambini up behind him. But McLean might have too much. The US trying to hold off the South Africans. They've never won the 4x2 at the World Relays. They just have now. South Africa 2nd. And Germany come through for 3rd. And the Japanese crowd continue to roar their team across the line as well. And you see the Bahamians who came in lagging behind after a baton drop way back at the start of the race.
Well, that was better. That was a bit cleaner. Unfortunately, the Bahamians... you say it for me, Tony.
The Bahamians? It took me to visit the Bahamas to actually get into Bahamian lingo.
The Bahamas team had a bit of a mishap on that first change, but the US did their changes really well. They still did the acceleration out, but they kept it safer. They made sure that their runners were within reach when they put their hand up. It was hand out, and it'd be interesting to know if they actually watched those women's races and made them a bit safer, but it was a good job by the United States on all of the changes.
The home team, Japan, taking the applause of the crowd because they finished 5th. But the USA, here's the Bahamian problem.
Yep.
A straight drop, really. And you see, just explain what we saw there with the running back and staying in the race.
So you just have to make sure that the person who dropped the baton goes back and picks it up and returns to the race at the exact point that the baton dropped. If you do that, you won't be disqualified. But as we can see, in a sprint relay, once you've dropped that baton, it's too hard to get back into the race. McLean ran really well on that final leg. Simbini's in some great touch. He's the Commonwealth Games 100-metre victor, and he was closing very fast on McLean for the United States.
And in the background, Vernon Norwood, who run the 3rd leg, had his arms in the air right at the other end of the home straight and was saluting what he could see, that he'd set up an American win, and this is how it was received outside by the team officials and athletes alike. And back inside, the Stars and Stripes flags are back on display for the winners of the 4x200 meters. For the first time in a World Relays, the US on top. Germany finished 3rd, and celebrating with their flag there. Huka, Domagala, Menga and Yeva. And you just wonder if Simbini just had a little smaller margin, what he might have made of it in that last 200.
But the United States made sure that their changes were nice and slick, so they didn't even give them a sniff. What an occasion for Dan Beale from South Africa. He's running with senior athletes that he would look up to. He's only 17 years of age, and he's out there on the senior international stage, finishing in the top 3 positions and getting a taste of what's to come for him. He looks like he has a big future in the sport of track and field. Belcher's such a character, isn't he? He's a character, but he also delivers, because that was a fantastic leg that he ran out of the blocks for the US. Set it up nicely.
Well, they're gathering in front of absolutely massed ranks of photographers. And the images that are being sent all around the globe, pinged out on media platforms everywhere. All in a day's work, Chris Belcher.
Well, talented athlete. And it's nice to see the athletes when they're so intense in the United States, because they've got so much depth when they come to their trials to try and make teams. They're obviously against each other, but they come together so well. You always see such good camaraderie amongst the United States. You know that they're a close-knit team, and they're very supportive of one another, and they're very proud to wear the colours of the United States.
Of course, the 4x2 not run as often. It's not in major championships, so this is that little element of fun that's introduced as well, to take on a 4x2.
Well, and it's also perfect because it is so early in the season. Some of the sprinters like the idea of doing their training session with a crowd watching, you know, so to throw in a 4x2, it's if you're a 100-metre sprinter, it allows you to do some back-end training to top up that conditioning, but making it fun at the same time. Flip side, if you're a 400-metre runner, it allows you to drop back down and do some speed work, some quality speed work with your teammates under the conditions of a championship that you're going to be experiencing throughout the season. So,
yep, you're on camera, and those are the Americans, and that back straight is absolutely packed on that lower tier. There's a definite USA chance coming out there as well. Christopher Belcher leading them along in a cry of USA. And why not? Because they've just won the 4x200 meters relay. The result, the United States in first, 1:20.12, ahead of South Africa and Germany.